Answer on this one is 10. Answer on this one is 12.
Oh no.
You move this to the right side, change the operation to +2, and that'll give you a -1, but you have to divide both sides by -1. So the answer is +1. Move this to the right side and change the operation. What is the operation here? Plus, so it's going to be -4 on the right. That'll give you a -5. Divide both sides by this -1, and you come up with a +5. Alright, so this one is going to go to the right and become +2. So -4 plus 2 is -2. Divide both sides by this -2. They cancel and you're left with 1. Y-intercept. Block letter only. Bartley, did you hear that? That's block letter only. If you want to find the y-intercept, you're going to put a 0 in for x, and when you do that here, it just takes that out. So you divide both of these sides by -5, and you come up with a +3, which would be B. Today's objective, the same as before, but I just boiled it down. Create an equation and graph it. Here's example 1. A teacher will give a minimum score of 60% on a test, even if a student misses all questions and shows all of their work on the test. For each problem the student answers correctly, the teacher will give 5 percentage points. Create an equation that represents this scenario and graph it. Alright, so we'll move this up here, shorten it up a little bit. If they get a minimum score of 60 no matter what, remember you have to put your equation in y equals mx plus b form. So if they're going to get a 60 added on to what they get no matter what, as long as they show their work, where should the 60 go in this equation? Yes, darn it. B, yeah. So here we go. We've plugged in B, and we're going to make that 60. But now the m and the x, the slope and the x value, are going to have something to do with what they actually get right. So they're getting 5 percentage points for each one they get right. Yeah. He's right. M, the slope, would have to be 5. 5 points per problem, and x is going to be the number of problems that they get right. Now, is there anything about this equation we need to change like we did with the cell bill yesterday, or is it good as it is? Alright, so if I get 5 problems right, what should my score be? 85, right. Darnell looks so disappointed because you undercut him on that answer. But if you put 5 in for x, 5 times 5 is 25. Add it to 60, you get an 85. Alright, so we're going to have to go over and graph this. And remember, the equation was y equals 5x plus 60. But now we have to figure out the scale for our graph. So remember, this is the x-axis, this is the y-axis. What does x represent? Yes, the number of correct answers. So let's make a note of that. And over here, this will be number of correct answers. What's the y-axis going to represent? Yeah, the percentage. You knocked him out again. All right, so it'll be the percentage. So we'll just call it, what's a one-word answer we can use? A shorter one. You can draw a percent sign. Yeah, we can go with that. I was thinking about score, but you can use percent. Okay, now you have probably more or less. You might have less grids on yours in the first quadrant than I have on mine on the screen. So we'll just go with the one on my screen. You can use yours differently if you want, or just follow mine up to a certain point. What should I make the scale on my y-axis? Okay, we'll go by 10. So if I count up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, what's this one here? 50%. Okay, and I'll go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Should I go above 100? There's no extra credit? Alright, so we'll go above 100, and we'll make it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We'll go up to 150. Okay, so there's the y-axis. And what about the x-axis? What should I mark that off as? 1. Bartley says 1, so I'll go down here and do it by ones. 1, 2, 3, 4, and we'll go 5, 10, 15, and that's about all I'm going to mark off for that. Alright, so what's my y-intercept for my equation? How much? 60 is right. So I need to go find 60 on the y-axis and make a dot. There's 60. And what's my slope? 5 over 1. So I've got to go up 5 from that dot I have right now. What kind of movement do I have to make to go up 5 on that? In terms of the grid, what kind of movement? How far up from that dot am I going to go? I know I'm going 5.
Go up 2, go up 5.
She's right. You just go up halfway. So here's the dot. We'll zoom in on it. And it's only up 5. So you got to go up 5 and then over 1. Remember, this is 50, 60, 70. So if I go up 5, I'm halfway between these two marks here. Because this is 60, that's 70. So that would be halfway. And then go over 1 and make a dot there. So your dot should be right here for that. So we'll zoom back out and put a line on this. Okay, here comes the line tool. We'll draw this one in orange. And we'll put an arrow on this end. Let's try to look at the graph and see if we can answer this and see how accurate the graph is. What if I had 15 problems right? 15 looks like it's crossing where? 125, and is that accurate according to the graph? Is that really 125?
Well, not exactly.
Right here, it looks like it's crossing here, and if we go over, what mark is that? 130. So remember, it was, you get 60 to start with. If I have 15 right, I have to multiply that by 5. That's 75. So 75 and 60 is really what? 135. 135 would be in here. So here's 15. So it looks like just by an error of drawing it, it's not exactly precise, but it is close. But this graph does give you an idea that if you're in this area, you're going to be close to here. Now, of course, I have small grids on this, and my line tool is really thick. I can't make it any more narrow than that. If I could make my line a little more narrow, then it would be more accurate on the screen. You have paper and a ruler, so yours should be much more accurate. Example 2. A teacher gives a minimum score of 50, even if a student misses everything but shows their work. For each problem the student answers correctly, the teacher will give 6 percentage points. Create an equation that represents this scenario and graph it. Alright, so we'll lower this down a little bit, and we have to start with, that's really crooked, so we'll go there. Alright, we have to have y equals mx plus b. Do you remember what the y-intercept is going to be, Bartley? Yeah, 50%. They're going to get 50% no matter what if they show their work. And where's that 6 points per problem going to go? M, yeah. So y equals 6x plus 50. So if I have a score, if I get 5 problems right, what's my score?
85. No, that's 80.
80, yeah. She did it to you again. 3 times she's either knocked you out or had the right one. So if you put 5 in for x, you'll have 30 and add 50 to that to get 80. So we'll go graph it. Y equals 6x plus 50 is the equation. Now on the last one, we went by tens on the y-axis, and we went by ones on the x-axis. Let's try something different on this one than the last one. Give me a different scale I could use than the last one. Darnell. 15. He says by 15, so let's try that. On the y-axis, we'll go by 15s for the score. So if I do that, I'm going to have 15, 30, 45. Where should I write something? How far should I go before I write something?
Every 5.
Every 5, so we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If I do that, this would be what? If we're going by 15s? 75 right there, yeah. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we'll go 75. And if I go another 5, what should it be? 150. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 150. Okay, we'll go there. On the bottom, give me a different scale than ones, Bartley. If I go by 2s, I'd go 2, 4, 6, 8. And that would be compressing it into where we have more numbers in there. And that's exactly what we did on the y-axis. Why don't we go the opposite direction? Instead of 2, 4, 6, 8, can we still go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but still spread it out a little bit more? How could we do that? Yeah.
By 0.5.
Well, yeah, he's right. You could go by 0.5, but we're only going to write 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So how many blocks over would I have to go to write 1? And then 2 and 3. 2 blocks, yeah. So on the y or the x-axis, we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and we'll stop there. Okay, so we have to graph it. We have to put our y-intercept where? Y-axis, yes. So let's go find 50. Well, we know we went by 15, 30, 45, and then 60. So we have to concentrate on the y-axis between these 2 blocks, here and here. Where should I put my dot for 50? Yeah, about 1/3 of the way up from 45. So if you put two hashes in here like this and separate that grid into 3 equal parts, each one's going to be 5. So 50 would have to be right here. But now we have a slope. What's the slope? 6 over 1. So we have to go up 6 from there and then over 1. So what's that going to be, Bartley? Yeah, you'd go right above that second slash. Almost blends in with it. See if I can zoom in some more. And then we're going to go to the right how many? 1, which is how many blocks? 2, yes. So we'll make our dot here. Alright, now, am I going to be able to graph that from this view right here? No, I'm going to have to zoom in. So we'll go here, and we'll make this much of the graph. We're going to test how accurate I drew this graph. So we'll go to 5. If I get 5 problems right, how many points did I earn? What did I get minimum? 50, and 5 times 5 is 25. So I should be right at what? Is that pretty much accurate? Yeah, it looks like if you zoom in on it and you get really technical, it's probably just a hair below that intersection of that grid, but that's about as close as you can get with and miss it. So that's what your graph would look like. How could we make this easier to deal with over here on the y-axis? How could we change that scale to where we wouldn't be having to divide things up so bad or so close, and then you really have to zoom in and out? Bartley. You could go by 5s, yeah. And on my graph paper, we can find out exactly how much we have. If we count them up, we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So I could make it to 100. We could have gone by 5s. This one goes to the first 4. Alright, the answer on this one is 48, and you get that by plugging in 3 in for x, and then multiplying by 6 and adding 30. This one is for everybody. Here it is. You put in the 7 into this and get 210, and then add 4 to come up with 214. Here's the practice problem. Graph this and bring it up here. On the practice problem, you're going to get a score of 40 if you do everything and miss all the problems. If you show your work. You get 4 points for each one you get right, though. So the equation should be y equals 4x plus 40. So we're going to take that to the graph. And y equals 4x plus 40 is what we're going to graph on this paper. We have to come up with a scale. So I'm going to do what we suggested the last time. And I'm going to go 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. Then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for a 50. And keep on going up here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 would be 75. On the y-axis, I'm going to make it go 1, 2, 3, and skip every 2, like this. And now I have to graph it. My y-intercept is 40. So 40 is going to end up being here. There's the 40. And the slope is up 4 and over 1. So I'm going to go just a hair below this one, but I have to go over 2 blocks. to equal 1. So now I have to line that up with the line tool, and let's see how this works out. I think I went right through it almost. So we'll go there and move it just a little bit, like that. And to check these, I'm going to randomly pick out a score so I can check yours. I'm going to pick out a score of, we'll make it 5. If I get 5 right, what should your score be? 60, so here's 5, and 60 should be right there, and it looks to me like I'm pretty much on it, so we'll check yours according to 5. Answer on this bonus is 194. Alright, for this bonus, it should be 192. You don't have to do the bonus. You do the practice problem first, and then when you're finished, if we still have some bonuses, you can do those. Answer on this one should be 540. This goes to the first 4. 120. This one is also to the first 4. 160. For your test tomorrow, you must be able to find the y and x intercepts from this form as well as this form. And if you have some extra credit on there, it could be the evaluated algebraic expressions as usual, or you could have one of these graphs where you have to read the problem, come up with an equation, and then answer some questions about it. So x and y intercepts on your test tomorrow.